All right, I'm going to try and help you learn about absolute cell referencing. The opposite of absolute cell referencing is called relative cell referencing. Now, when we say relative, we mean relative to something. Let me show you what I mean by this. I'm going to show you relative cell referencing, and it's not going to work for the taxes on our salary here. Basically, what we're trying to figure out is that 25% of our salary, which is our monthly income, I guess that's what I should have put here, but 25% of this number will be what we pay in taxes. So 1/4. How are we going to do that? Well, if you were to just type in a regular formula equal this number times 25%, enter, that's going to work just fine. You can take your calculator and figure this one out. That's 25% of 4,500. Well, if we had, a lot of, we don't want to type this in 100 times, or in this case, 12 or 11 more times. But if we were to use our fill handle and drag this formula across, basically we're copying the formula, watch what's going to happen. This one worked okay. How do we know? If we double click on it, we can see what the formula is. We can look at the formula bar, B1 times 25%, perfect. By pulling it over, if we double click on this, it's looking for C1. This one's looking for D1. This one's looking for E1, and so on and so forth. Well, this wouldn't make any sense to take this and to put this all the way across here, okay? Yeah, it's going to work, but that's not what we want. So I'm going to undo that. What we want to do is create a formula that's going to know that it's always going to go back to B1 no matter where I copy it to. Now, to make this simple, all I'm going to do, I'm going to get rid of this stuff here. I'll just delete that. Those formulas didn't work. What we're going to do is we're going to create an absolute cell reference. To do that, we put dollar signs in front of, here's a dollar sign in front of the B. So we're saying always go to column B. And then we're going to say always go to row 1. Because this is where it is. It's not moving. Watch what happens when I copy that across. It's not copying the 1125. It's copying the formula that yields 1125. So it's always going to be 1. That is what relative cell referencing, absolute cell referencing is. Now in this case, this is the answer. That was it. You can kind of almost ignore what I'm going to say next, but there are times when you only want to go to a column, but the rows will change, and sometimes it's the opposite. The rows will change, but the columns won't. That's the same thing, I guess, but what I'm getting at here is if you're in the formula here and on the B1 and you want to go through the different options, you don't need to type the dollar signs in. What you can do is hit the F4 key, so the F4 function key, and it will scroll through the different options. In this case, always go to row 1, but column B will change. Always go to column B, but row 1 will change. Nothing changes, or everything changes, I should say, and nothing changes. So as you hit B4, this only works when, it won't work if you're over on the 25 here. It'll only work when you're on the B1 in this case. Okay? So I'm just going to ignore that. That was the answer for this one. By the way, total expenses is not going to be equal this plus that plus that plus that plus that. Okay? It's not going to be that. So what are you going to do? It's going to be equal sum. And haul these down. And by the way, we don't want to have inconsistencies here. So we want these numbers to look the same. There's no reason why we should have the dollar sign and the comma and everything in here. So just select all of this, change it to go over to your currency here, or whatever it's showing here. And the easy place is to go to General. It'll change back. If you don't see that, click on this little arrow here, and you can really go through everything that is available to you. And General is what we want. For totals, though, for these totals, we're going to want to have currency. So you can either click on the currency. What happens here? Not wide enough, right? So this will probably happen all the way throughout, depending on, it may not happen, but when you double click in between the column heading, it will allow you to widen this column. In this case, it wouldn't make sense to have decimals. So let's just bring the decimals down. You can use that. We can decrease the decimal. You can do this all in one shot when you have them all together. And average monthly expenses, you'll figure that one out. Income for the entire year, well, it'll be this times 12, right? Expenses for the entire year, well, that'll be whatever number you'd get for the total, the sum of all of this stuff. So it would be the sum of all of this row minus this one in the corner. And the balance would be your income minus your expenses would be your balance. All right, make sure that it looks good, save it, and you're good to go.